from the lakes of Minnesota.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Susan Bechara. Welcome back to my show, Get to the Point. Some of you may be seeing this show for the first time. Some of you may be wondering where I've been because I've been gone for about a month and a half. Well, there's a lot of things I want to share with you today. But as you know, for those of you who had seen my show, I always like to start with a prayer. And I always like to focus on what's important for us as Americans, a nation under God, and what's important with the life that we live. Because we live every day, we die only once on this earth. But there's a journey that we need to go to after each of us have left this earth. And that is very important that we realize that. Regardless of your opinions, regardless of your status, we're all going to go there, the same place we come from, either heaven or hell. This is not our home. We're just passing through for a moment. And I can tell you that through my own experience. So let's begin with a prayer, if everyone wants to join me. So Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you, Lord, for today. We thank you for giving us life, which we take for granted each day, especially in this country and in the world, with all the negative news about the pandemic, the COVID, the riots, the flood, the fire, the violence. There's so much things that don't seem to be making sense anymore. And our children and our next generation will be affected by it. But one thing we do know, Lord, you created the heaven and the earth, and you're the one that's going to be making the final decision. We can make plans all we want, but if it's not in alignment with your will, nothing is going to get done. So we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you, Lord, for this great country. And we ask you for forgiving us, Lord, for not recognizing you as a nation under God. Some people had ignored you. Some people had tried to get rid of your name. And we have sinned greatly, and we need you every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So the first thing that I want to share with you is a little statement that I always start with. America is like a healthy body, and its resistance is threefold. It's patriotism, it's morality, and it's a spiritual life. This is how we were built as a nation under God from our founding fathers. If we can undermine these three areas, which we are doing pretty well against God's will, America will collapse from within. We do not need enemies from the outside. We're already doing it to ourselves today. And this was written by Joseph Stalin, the famous Marxist. And this is where the direction is going right now in America. So this election year is very, very important. I don't care what party you used to be belonging to, but one thing I do know. When we vote, we don't vote for parties. We have to vote with our conscience because we're born to know right and wrong. We always do. It's important to remember that none of us are perfect, and we all make our share of mistakes. My prayer is that I learn not only from the mistakes of others, but most importantly, from my own mistake. The truth of the matter is, a mistake isn't a mistake unless a lesson from it is learned. Unfortunately, we have too many politicians today that seems to know when they make mistakes. They're no different than ours. Maybe the position they hold is different. But just to remind those people that are in office or running for office, I'm sure and I do believe that you ran for the office is because you have a passion to do something good for this country. But then we are weak, you see, as human. And sometimes when we get to the office, we forgot what we're in the office for, the position that we held. Just a reminder for all of you who run for office, we don't work for you. You're being paid. Your salary is being paid by hardworking, ordinary American people who pay taxes. So you work for us. And you're put there to move the agenda the American people want. It's not a party line. Then I'm going to hold also, because this is talking about our constitutional right, with our first rights of the Constitution is the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, not from religion, the freedom to assemble, the freedom to protest, and the freedom of the press. But unfortunately, the press is not doing that either. They're not providing a true story on both sides. And that's what is the press for, is not to have your opinion, but rather bringing in the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. All these violence are very unnecessary that we see in this country. But it also tells us that there are a lot of unhappy people right now. We see Black Lives Matter, we see Antifa coming in, taking advantage of hurting people. Because when we are hurt, there's anger in us that hasn't been expressed. And it's like a fire. You ignite it, and it goes out of proportion. Just like in California right now, we have a lot of fire. All it starts is with one small flick of fire, and it blows out of proportion. And that's what happened with human nature. And we need to be very, very careful with that. For me, I am a woman of God. My God is Jesus Christ. I am a Christian. But I don't go around judging other religion, regardless whether I agree or not, is because I come from a family. I was born in China, most of you know, in Hong Kong. So I have relatives that are Muslim. I have relatives that are Buddhist. I have relatives that are atheists. I have relatives that are Christian, but they're not Catholic like me. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, there's only one God who gave us life. And all this anti-police, it's unnecessary. The last month and a half, I've learned that life is very precious. I suffered from COVID-19. And it was not the light one. I just realized, knowing myself as a patient from COVID-19, mine was a very severe one. I didn't even know within 3 days that I caught COVID with pneumonia. I'm usually a very healthy person. I eat right. I always watch myself what I eat, trying to keep myself healthy. But one thing I did learn, each day we live, we're one day closer to the day we die. And that's why I took care of myself. But the thing is, in COVID, because everybody's talking about it, I didn't know how severe it was, because I could have lost my life within 3 days. They could have put me in what they call it, respiratory. Was it respiratory? What did they call it? Respirator. I didn't know how bad it was. The one thing that helped me keep going was my faith. I kept telling God, my life is in your hand. And a miracle happened. The doctor came in within that 3 days, asking me if I would like to be trying a trial drug called remdesivir and the convalescent plasma. I'm not one of those people who knows about science or reading about it all the time, because I always trust God that my life is in his hand. But at that moment, when he said that, I said, go ahead. If it's going to save somebody's life and it saves my life, go ahead. How it works, you guys are the professional. Just go ahead and give it a try. Somebody's got to try it. Life is a risk, so I said, go ahead. What choice do I have? I do have a choice, but my choice is that I'm going to go ahead and let them take care of what they need to do, and then put my life in God's hand. This is not political. These days, everything we talk about, if we tell the truth, it's politicized. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a living proof of that treatment. Within 5 days of that treatment, I got better. And now I am ready to be a donor to help somebody else's life. And now we're fighting over vaccine. Okay? Slowing it down, this and that, saying that it's a political year, because, you know, it's only been like maybe less than a month and a half from now, we're going to be having a presidential race. Now they're trying to politicize everything, from vaccine, from this and that. I think that Washington and politics are not caring about American people at all. You don't talk to the real people. The news media is even worse. I saw it. Depending on what side they're on, they're putting somebody who tried the vaccine and say they have a side effect. Come on now. In every medication, there's always going to be a side effect. But we have to take that risk. Somebody's got to try it. We have to make some kind of mistakes to learn from it. And that's the same thing with trial drugs or whatever. The first drug for the flu, the first drug for this and that, malaria. Everybody has to take that risk who are willing to live for other people. We don't live for ourselves. We live here temporarily for each other. I hope people don't forget that. Only in America we could do that. In communist China, where I came from, they limit how many babies you're supposed to have. If you go against the government, you just disappear. Or they torture you, and they force you, and they program your mindset to fit their agenda. Only in America, and those that are rioting, those are saying things that are so bad. Just remember one thing. Only in America can you get away with it, because you're protected by your First Amendment right, freedom of speech. But when you start rioting, when you start damaging and you start acting with violence, no, that is not your amendment right. That is against the law. America is a law-abiding country, and we need people that choose to risk their life to become police officers, firefighters, and going into the service to protect us. And how dare some of you go against those people who risk their lives? They don't have to choose that career. Just because of one bad apple, we want to condemn everybody in that department. And those weak politicians who went along with that, they just want to go along with the crowd. If you want to be different and you want to make a difference in this country, there's risks that you have to take, just like everything else. At the end of the day, we will leave this earth, but we will have to answer to the maker of heaven and earth. And that's where our final destination is going to be. So we're going to take a short break.
From Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA.
Welcome back, everybody. Last week, we honored the fallen. And our generation here, we could say the generation that remembered 9/11. But the young ones today may be remembering them as the generation of COVID-19. And never forget, each time we have a tragedy, we learn from it. And it is so sad. I will tell you why it's so sad. I saw the president and also Mr. Joe Biden, our former vice president, standing together at the memorial and said that we need to get along for the sake of the nation to come together in the memory of 9/11. To me, that's such an insult, because you just want to get along just for 9/11, to honor the people that have died, innocent people, and you cannot get along, and the next few hours later you bash each other again. That is so sad. So you know who you are. You know who you are. Unfortunately, as politicians, they say we don't know who your true color is. I'm not afraid to tell you, if you cannot stand on one position and you wait until what is more popular, then you went along with that position, you shouldn't be a leader. You know who you are. A true leader does not care at that moment whether they're popular or not. A true leader leads with conviction. They believe, especially for this country, a beacon of light in freedom. They believe in honoring God as a nation under God. They believe in life, including the unborn. They have conviction. They don't just hear what people say and what's popular at the moment. So if you can get along for one day for 9/11, I don't see why you guys cannot practice that in the Congress and in the Senate. Then I'm going to talk about California a little bit. All these things about taking down the governor. Mr. Governor, do you know really what the people are going through right now by getting locked down all the time? Children are suffering in the home. They need to be in school. I understand safety is important, but don't underestimate that we American people are not ignorant. We do care about our health. And now with the weather and the fire going on out there, you want us all to just be outside eating. We don't allow us to be inside. These small businesses, this is all their livelihood. America is made out of small businesses. Come on now. Think about that. They don't live in luxury mansion like you. So I'm going to stop right there because I have a very important guest just to tell you this is what America is about. You can be anything you want to be. His name is Antonio with the Fresno Savage. And this is a man whose life had turned around, like me, from a near-death experience. So, Antonio, I want to welcome you.
Yes.
And thank you for coming here.
I appreciate the invitation.
And I'm without any time wasted because we have 20 minutes, right? Let me ask you, what brought you to start this Fresno Savage rap group? And what is the message and what got you to that? And I know you wanted to share with the audience what your life's been like.
Definitely. As far as starting this Fresno Savage movement, it's always been a challenge for me. It's always been something that I've done to test myself because growing up, I was in a lot of disability classes, special education classes. I always had a problem reading, writing, and stuff like that. So I've always tried to, it bothered me a lot. It bothered me a lot. Put me in a lot of positions where I was criticized by other students and stuff like that. So it was something that really bugged me. So it was something I always felt like I had to attack. So doing music was really me facing my fears, was me forcing myself to write, forcing myself to sit there and be creative and create. And eventually it became something that I used to watch people draw good. I used to watch people play football, and I would always wonder, what did I do good? And it was something that I had figured out and learned that I was good at, and it built me. It built me. I actually faced something that was really would cripple me at times, and it turned into something that.
So in other words, you don't allow your disability to become like a victim.
No.
So you build it up out of that.
Definitely.
Excellent.
Definitely created. That's where it has came from, and it's not for me. Like I've said before, it's the way that I've been able to express myself to people, and people can relate to what I've been through.
That's very good.
Definitely, as far as the life and things that I've been through growing up, and even the things that I'm going through now. So.
Okay, and so also as we were coming here too, you did tell me about your almost life and death experience, and
Yes.
that's what makes you really believe that there is a God
Yes.
that is in charge of our lives. Can you share that a little bit?
Yes, definitely. August 5th, 2019, me and my wife were hit by a woman running a red light. We're driving out of our driveway, driving onto Herndon. A lady was doing about 60 miles an hour, slammed right into T-boned me, hit my side directly. And I literally had an out-of-body experience. I really had an out-of-body experience. I was out of my body, looking at myself, giving myself instructions to survive. I wasn't floating above, like I've heard a lot of people say they're floating, they're looking down on themselves. I was more kneeling down, looking at myself, telling myself my lungs were punctured, my ribs were broken, I had a traumatic brain injury. But a couple of years back, I had took a CPR class, and when you take your CPR class, not only do they teach you how to do CPRs, but they give you other directions on if you have a punctured lung and different things. So as I was looking at myself, I was telling myself how to lay so the blood wouldn't fill my lungs and would fall out from my mouth. I was coaching myself, literally, looking at myself.
Wow.
And so, I definitely believe we have a soul. I know we have a soul from my standpoint. And a lot of people, and I don't mind, I hope this don't get taken the wrong way, because I get this question a lot.
Of course.
Was God there with you? Did you see God? And when I say this, I think a lot of people take this the wrong way, and I'll explain myself why. I think at that moment, I didn't feel God there with me. And when I say that, I feel God had already given me everything I needed to survive
Exactly.
at that moment.
He gave you the tools.
Throughout my whole life, I feel like I have been preparing my whole life, everything I've done for this exact moment. When I seen that Jeep hitting me and it hit me, and I was laying on the floor, I told myself, okay, it's time. It's time.
It woke you up.
I was fighting for my life, literally. I was literally fighting for my life, but I wasn't panicking. I knew I had everything I needed. I wasn't gonna
that's funny you said you didn't panic, right? That's what happened to me too. I didn't panic. When that happens, I didn't panic either. It's almost like I knew the same thing, the same experience. Go ahead.
And I was fighting for my life. I had a lot of injuries. I was injured very badly. For the first 3 days, I was in the hospital. I was in and out of, I was in a coma, but I was in and out because they were waking me up throughout my surgeries. And for the first 3 days, every time I would close my eyes, I would literally see my dead body in the mortuary. And it wasn't of something imaginary. It wasn't nothing like that. I would literally close my eyes and I could see my flesh body there. And those 3 days was the most time when I was really fighting for my life. So I kind of took that as a motivation. Like, if you can't regulate your breathing, my heart was moved 2 inches to the right.
Wow.
So it knocked my heart, and everything got pushed in my chest, so my heart stopped beating at some point. So, it was a conscious thought of breathing, of your heart beating. It was a situation for sure. But every time I would close my eyes, I would see my body there, and it was almost like it was an alternate reality that every time I would close, I could see myself there. But like I said, I definitely believe we have a soul, because I was out of my body looking at myself, and it was a real situation. It really was. And my wife, she got out of it. She was injured. She was injured bad too, but she was able to leave the hospital, and thank God none of my children were in the vehicle. But it was definitely an experience, and it definitely made me a lot more grateful for the people that I have in my life, to be here for them still,
Right.
to still experience all these beautiful things that I think back, everything I would have
We took it for
missed.
granted.
Everything I would have missed. My son's birthday, my daughter, I'm going to be a grandfather.
It's a wake-up call.
You just appreciate things are just a little more sweeter.
That's
Things are just
exactly
a
what
little
I'm
more
saying.
sweet. Even in these ugly situations, even with this pandemic, even when we walk outside and I see this, the sky, I'm grateful what I do have. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful to be able to, to just feed them any knowledge that I have while I'm still here, and it just feels good. It's a good thing.
Let me ask you, with the Fresno Savage rap group, does that reflect your experience to the message in the song?
I think that's definitely where that's where I'm building myself right now. I'm definitely trying to piece the message that I am trying to express with the music.
Very good, because I'm a musician myself. I write music too, but I play the keyboard. Music has a lot of power.
You know what?
And art too.
I'm gonna be rapping and doing music when I'm 80 years old, if I'm lucky, because I don't do it for a lot of reasons other people do.
Well, explain that. Yeah, that's important, because a lot of young people.
I think a lot of young people
aware of it.
gravitate to this, because I think it's a lot of, even though I'm older, I'm getting older, a lot of younger people gravitate to me, because I feel that I'm definitely growing. I'm definitely trying to find the proper way to express myself, and I definitely feel that they gravitate to me because they understand, the realistic message that I'm trying to present, for sure.
in this generation, especially when everything they see is so negative.
It definitely
But you know what is surprising? I brought quite a few young people here. They're all rapping. This message is going to help them because I'm going to make sure that they contact you, guide them along to do it for positive reason.
No, definitely.
Because music carries a lot, and so does art.
No, definitely does.
You know, and everybody may have a long perspective about rappers, this and that. No, I think music and art expresses within ourselves, our spiritual self, that's hard to talk about sometimes.
And a lot of people growing up in this rough life that they've grown up to, it's almost impossible to express yourself, you know?
Exactly.
That's the way you survive, by not showing your emotions. So that was what music was always for me. You know, for a long time when I was real young, I was angry. I was just angry. And then now I look back, I don't know why. I don't know why I was so angry, but it was just, I wasn't able to express myself. And a lot of that builds up on you. So that's why I love music, and I think that's why people gravitate to my music, because they realize that
Especially the
I'm really
young
expressing
people, they
myself.
can relate to you.
If I don't do my music, if I don't go to the studio or rap or freestyle, I'm grumpy. It's the only way I can express myself and you know, share what I'm trying to say. I can't speak. I literally, it's hard for me to speak to people. It really is.
You speak through the music.
That's the only way I've.
That's excellent. Some people speak through the artwork.
A lot,
You know,
and that's
a
what
lot
it
of
is. That's the beauty of art, and that's the universal beauty of art, because it expands throughout cultures and times and different, you know, levels of society. You know, art's art. So it's a beautiful thing, and I think that's the way that we can get past through a lot of stuff that we're going through right now.
We're going to take a little short break, and we're going to continue this conversation, okay? Welcome back, everybody. As I was saying, I'm talking to Antonio from Fresno Savage. You see, behind me is the American flag. The only reason he could do what he does, and the only reason I could do what I do, is because of that freedom. When I look at that flag, especially both of us who's been through a life and death experience, for me, it's very emotional. How beautiful life is if we can only see it clearly. And our children deserve that. Right now with the pandemic, everybody's being locked down. People are going crazy. We don't know what's going on in the home. Some people are mentally distorted, depressed, many suicides now, or attempted suicides, many violence and abuse going on in the home, which most politicians, I'm not saying all of them, are not even aware of it, nor do they care, because it's not happening to them. Many of them can isolate themselves in their mansion, in their home, they have pools, everything. But remember, ordinary, hardworking Americans do not have that luxury. They have to work. They have to put food on the table. They don't want handout. This is how this country was built. We are a very young country compared to other nations in the world. We're only 200 plus years. So instead of always focusing on all the negatives out there, there are a lot of good. But there's a lot of work to be done. But if we keep focusing on the ugliness of this nation, it's because people who have lost hope, they throw their anger, just like Mr. Antonio was talking about. They don't know how to express themselves. They go after other people. So we need to stop that. Our message has to be a message of hope. There's a lot of beauty in this country. This is our only hope. That's why people want to come to America. It's that freedom, that opportunity, that dream can become a reality. And this is how this nation is built. So let's move on. I'm going to ask Mr. Antonio some more questions, and I'm sure he's ready to share, and he's going to be rapping for us too, with a message for young people out there. So, Antonio. You on the side also work as a maintenance person.
Well, actually, what I do is I run my own interior exterior painting business,
Okay.
and I also do maintenance also on the side. Yes,
And I'm sure when you do maintenance, you go to people's home.
I work at an apartment complex, and
Okay,
yes,
can you share a little bit that's something people need to hear, what's going on? It's not even in the news.
yeah. Well, you know what? And a lot of the stuff that is in the news, it pertains, I feel personally, pertains to a lot of the masses. You know, of course, we're the mass. But what about those small percentages that don't fit into a lot of these statistics and a lot of
Yes,
these things that a lot of
exactly,
people are
that's what
talking
I'm talking
about, you know?
ordinary daily life.
So what it comes down to is our home, us as individuals processing the information that we're actually going through day to day in our city, in our environments, to put things together and come to a conclusion, because a lot of information that we get, a lot of times it doesn't pertain to us, even if they're, you know,
That means all the information we're getting for ordinary people, it's not always going to
you
help
know,
them.
they
It doesn't
pertain
make
to,
sense.
they, you know, they put everybody in a category, the Hispanic groups, you know, these and those people. And I might not pertain to all the things that are into this Hispanic, you know, considered
Yeah.
group.
We're all individuals.
So as an individual, you know, that's where a lot of stuff comes. So as an individual, all I can speak of is where my feet stand, what I see day to day, and what affects me, because I don't have the luxury to
Right.
really even gather certain information, because we're trying to survive. And with my feet on these streets, I see a lot of stuff, you know, a lot of things. You know, like you said, I work in an apartment complex. I'm in near people's units all day, you know, working inside and outside, and you hear a lot of verbal abuse with children. You see a lot
Because
of
parents are frustrated and they start.
frustrated, you know, children are going to do things that children do, and we can't hold them accountable as an adult. You know, we have to take the time and explain it and make sure they realize what they're doing before we can hold them accountable and punish them verbally in certain ways. So, you know, there's a lot of things that people want to stand for because the masses bring it to attention, and they will maybe want that attention to attach themselves to it, what I see a lot. But I think the main important thing is realizing where your feet are at, what you can realistically do, what changes you can really realistically do, small ones, you know. A lot of people, they try to do too many large stuff, and they just get overwhelmed. They give up before they even notice their impact.
So what you're seeing is some of those anger, right, frustration, is a sense of hopelessness for many people. They don't know day to day what's going to happen.
I think if they knew better, they would do better. And I think it's information. And I think a lot of times it's basic, simple information that I've noticed being in all positions of life in my city, is simple, basic information.
Yeah, it's a message of hope. Basically, that's what I'm saying, a message of hope, like yourself. You use your music to bring a message of hope, right?
Yes.
And for yourself, and it resonates to other people.
And that's the only way you can truly make an impact, is by example.
Right, and some people don't even know what talents they have until they try it, because like I said, the way most of the media is putting out there is very negative for our young people. And not every young person has what we call a perfect family. None of us have perfect family, but they don't have the motivation. Some of these young people grow up in an environment where there is no role model.
You know what? And a lot of people, we have no understanding what a lot of kids walk out of their homes dealing with. You know,
I deal with that all the time. I deal with kids.
And even some, yeah, exactly. And you do, and you do it on the level where your impact is needed so bad. You know, you do it on the level where a lot of people ignore, and where it's really changes are deeply made, is where you're working at, for sure. And
we have to come to their level. A lot of time, the mistake that is being made, I think the intention is good, is when we work with different groups of people, especially young people that do not have the opportunity of a good environment or good role models, you know, like the way we are in our nation right now. Father is not in the picture, or mother is not in the picture, or both are not in the picture.
And not only that, the fathers are, you know, fathers and mothers, it's hard. Even the people that are sustaining and trying to keep their family together, the fathers, it's almost impossible.
Right, I said there's so many different, you don't know, because to me, it's sad to see politicians. My focus is this. If you're going to vote this year, right, this is a very important year more than ever. Not because the president said that, but it is. this is a very clear-cut thing. Either you're going to go to what we call everything is negative. You know, we don't need to have children if we don't want to, and let's just abort them up by mistakes. We don't want to take responsibility when we actually get ourselves pregnant, because it's all based on sex, and I'm sure you're aware of that. The media tells you that. It's all based on what's selfishly what's good for us, but what they don't remember is that life is important. So life begins in the womb. For me, that's personal because I went through abortion, so I know now the difference. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now they're trying to make it okay for late-term abortion just because it's not convenient for us. Mm-hmm. I think that is very wrong. It's nothing to do with Christianity or not. It's just that life begins in the womb. Everybody can understand that. Let me tell you why. When somebody murdered a woman who is pregnant, that person is going to suffer and sentenced for 2 homicides. True. And they recognize that child as human. Mm-hmm. But then a woman can make a decision to abort, I could say, to murder your child when it's not convenient. So that's not a fair judgment, is it? That is something you don't need to argue. It's a very clear thing.
And those are things that contradict each other for sure.
Contradiction. It's constantly a contradiction. Why? Because we are at a point of a crossroad in the United States. We built this country together over 200 years ago. Yes, there has to be some changes made. I do believe that. But because this country is built on freedom and the choices that we make, we have very talented people that people are not being exposed to. The media should be actually out on the street looking people like yourself, people, ordinary people doing extraordinary work. Not just focusing on the politics, focusing on this, focusing on everything negative. That's all the kids are doing now with the social media. And that, to me, is dangerous. So that's why I do this show, and hopefully that it resonates to the adults and the politicians what they need to be focusing on, like human trafficking, right? They're only looking at, oh, my God, you know, most human trafficking victims are all from foster care. Well, you're not looking at the real picture. Those children that are in foster care, they ran away because they don't have a proper home. That's why they took off, and somebody else is taking over. And then the system fails too, like CPS, you know, Child Protective Services, foster care agencies. Nobody is holding anybody accountable.
And I think a lot of that has to do with people holding titles they just really shouldn't have.
Of course, holding the title is job security. They don't get the right kind of people like us, ordinary people. They look at the degree, and all this degree and title is great, but if you don't have the heart and you don't have the passion and you do not believe in what you're doing, or you just give up, or you're just there, it's not going to touch the people that really needs help. So anyway, because of time, I'm sort of rushing it. I need you to sing a song for us, rap a song for us. But before you do that, I want you to actually focus on what you're really feeling inside. Like you said, you're not good in just talking about it, but you have to feel it, right? Maybe you can give us a little bit just to tell us what is the message, what is the message, what we talked about, hope, and what you want to tell the young people out there.
Definitely. You know, like
you got the whole floor right now.
Yes. Like I would love to say, with everything going on, and you know, with all this ugliness and everything we got going on, for anybody young out there, I think the best thing for you to do is educate yourself, invest in yourself with information. Take the time. If you're going to be on YouTube, if you're going to be on your phone, take a couple seconds and look up something educational for yourself, something beneficial for yourself, something you're personally going through. How do I control my emotions? How to control my anger? How to properly express myself? You know, look up things. And a lot of times people say this and it sounds dumb. They're like, I want to do nothing like that. That is the key start that you need to do. Don't try to change yourself too much. One little movement. And throughout the years, you can realize how far you've become, how far you've gone. Everything that you think is holding you back right now, whether it be, you know, what you have, what you don't have, what you can do, what you can't do, those are the things that are building you at the moment, because you're not comfortable, you're growing, you're moving forward on something new. So focus on investing in yourself. Invest in yourself, because if you don't invest in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you if you can't invest in yourself with information knowledge, anything. Speak to an older person, somebody that is not in a position that is not going anywhere. So that's what I would say. Any advice I would give anybody, because I try to take that myself. And yeah, I would like to, I guess I'll do a little verse or something for everybody out there. And also, if anybody wants to follow me, we're also Saturday, September 19th, Journey of the Bullies, Part 2, Lost Lake, from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. There's going to be an event out there. It's going to be security. There's going to be COVID-19 enforcement. Totally. It's all protected.
Say it again. And
It
maybe
is
we
the
can
Journey
put it
of
on
the
Zoom.
Bullies. There should be posting the flyer soon. It's Journey of the Bullies 2. It's going to be at Lost Lake, September 19th. It's for a good, beautiful cause. And it's a good thing. It is for a rare disease that my friend's daughter passed away from, that a lot of people weren't aware of it, and if it could have been aware and more information was about there. It starts early, around 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a family event. It's a dog show. It's a bike show. It's a beautiful thing. It's a good family event. If you have any kids or anybody interested in wanting to do music, a meet and greet, tell them to go out there. I'll be out there with my Fresno Savage booth and merchandise. I'm open to speak with anybody. If you have a son that's trying to do music, bring them out there, introduce them to me. We'll put them to where they need to be at, and it's all beautiful, positive thing for families. And
okay, everybody, if you're hearing that, because I want him to end with a nice rap song. Journey of the Bullies, September 19th, Saturday. Starts at 8 o'clock. It's a family event. There's a lot of activities going on in there. Like Mr. Antonio is saying, get out there. Take your kids. It's a family event. There's a lot of things going on. Okay? All right,
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Dear Lord, forgive my family for this life of sin, because once again our household revolves around addiction. The feelings of helplessness begin to kick in. Tell me, have you ever felt this helplessness of watching your mother die, your brothers cry, your little sisters growing up too fast, and at the same time trying to stay up on my toes? Man, I feel like a fucking boat in the middle of the ocean. Emotions be grabbing me. My pride slowly stabbing me, killing me softly. And I don't ever think our family tree will ever be the same ever since my mother left us in the fucking grave. Man.
Wow,
yep.
Powerful.
Just real
Powerful
quick, man. You guys can
message.
check me out on YouTube. You can even Google me at Fresno Savage. Available on all platforms.
Can you say it again? Because sometimes, you know.
Yes. You can feel free to Google me and see every platform I'll be on. Fresno Savage, and just support, because the only way, I keep moving and doing what I do is based upon the support of my local people. So support me, and I will continue doing what I do for you.
And in case you need to get a hold of Antonio yourself, you can also contact me. My information is down there. Okay, you can contact me through my business also, Comprehensive Behavioral Services. My number is down there on my email. And also, I want to thank Mike Briggs with the Mike Briggs Real Estate for allowing us to have this show. It is so important that we have more shows like this. And I'm inviting all of you. If you have something that you want to share, this is a live show. Come to my show. Contact Mike or contact me, and I'll put you on the show. Okay, if you have ideas or you've been trying to promote your passion, please contact me. And have a blessed day. God bless America. Thank you.